This video is about the covenant of the pieces, or covenant between the parts, which God made with Abraham before his name change, and the 10 nations that are listed there. So you'll find it in Genesis 15:18 through 21. In that day the Lord made a covenant with Avram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, the Kenite, or kenite, and the Kenizzite, and the Kadmonite, and then it lists 7 more nations after that. What's interesting about that to me is the great rabbi, the seer of Lublin, places these 10 nations on the tree of life. And so I just added the nations onto the sefirot where he has them arranged. So this is his arrangement, and I've just added the names of the nations where he says to put them. So here we have the Kenite, the Kenizite, and the Kadmonite. Kadmonite reminds me of Adam Kadmonites, which is a really old name for Adam Kadmon. And again, the Kenite and Kenizite in the intellectual spheres. And here it is, Genesis 15:19. Here's what the sources have to say. According to Rashi, these tribes are identical to the Edomites, Moabites, and the Ammonites, and the territories of these nations would become part of Greater Israel at some time in the future, not in the time of Joshua. And I've seen in other sources that they're talking about messianic times, and the borders of Israel will expand, and the territory will enlarge, and that the lands of the Kenites, Kenizzites, and Kadmonites will host 3 additional cities of refuge. A scriptural reference to this can be found in Isaiah 11:14, which is the messianic prophecy, and another one by Bilam to the Kenite in Numbers 24:21. And then there are Kenites and Kenizzites together again, and as definite Torah scholars here. So the families of the scribes that dwelt at Yabetz is the name of a place where they studied Torah in public, and it's also a name of a Kenizzite, as we'll see. These are the Kenites, and father of the house of Rechab, which is the rechabites. But so we have Kenites here, and Kenizzite here, as I'll show. But let's see what it says in the source, Sanhedrin 104a. And the fact that it draws near the distant is derived from yitro, or Jethro. In reward for Jethro telling his daughters, call him that he may eat bread, inviting Moses to join them for a meal, Jethro's descendants were privileged and sat as scribes in session with the Sanhedrin in the chamber of hewn stone, as it is stated, and it quotes our verse here. So they sat in session of the Sanhedrin. And then we see Yabetz, the Kenizzite, who's also known as Othniel. Othniel's full name is Othniel ben Kenaz. And we know that Yabetz is a Kenizzite, and his name actually is a match in gematria for the Kenizzite in our verse. Here's the Kenizzite, and here is Yabetz. And there is a tradition of Kenite judges. The father-in-law of Moses was a Kenite, that's Jethro. And Shemaiah and Abtalion, 2 very famous judges. And the descendants of Sisera were also Kenites. Sisera was killed by a Kenite woman. The wife of Heber the Kenite, Yael, was killed Sisera, famously. They were also Kenites. They studied the law in public like the men of the great synagogue. And more here in that source where it says, "Why was the law given in the desert? To teach us that just as the desert is free to all men, so the words of the law are free to all who desire to learn them. And even outsiders who devote themselves to the law are equal to the high priest." And it uses the Kenites as an example here. And, of course, Jethro. They studied law in public like the men of the great synagogue. Why was that? Because the law was given to all Israel. So there's something interesting about this verse in the statistics and the gematria that's kind of interesting, because we have this tradition of judges, so they definitely would have known the 7 laws inside and out. If you look at the value of this verse, it's 1,771, and that total, 1771, is found in the entire Tanakh 612 times. And 612 is interesting to me because we're talking about the covenant of the pieces, or covenant between the parts, and 612 is the value of the word brit, which is covenant. So the word covenant has the value 612, and the value of our verse here is found 612 times in the entire Tanakh. And one more thing that's kind of interesting, 1771 can be found somewhere else as well. The value of B'nai Noach here is 120, and 120 is found 1771 times. So I just thought that was kind of neat to tie it all together. If you're interested in some influential non-Jews, I would definitely recommend checking out the Kenites and Kenizzites and Kadmonites, friends of Israel. Thank you.